So once, instead of being upset about having a stroke, I said, okay, universe, why am I here? Like, what are you trying to tell me? So I waited for the lessons to come. And then I said, okay, I got it. I got it. I'm on my road now. Okay. Thanks for the wake up call. Here I go.
Warning, this is a public service announcement. This is the Walk-In Victory podcast. Here we have conversations that provides insight on how you can craft and design your future from the inside out. If that's not you, then tune into another bleeping podcast. Everyone else, enjoy the show. And here's our host.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening in or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, NaRon Tillman. And you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. Speaking of victory walks, I did a 5-mile run. This is after I was running. Oh my goodness. I played every sport. So, you grew up in the projects. We played football on the concrete. We ran. I ran track. I was on the baseball team. I was on the football team. I was on the basketball team. We did these things. We ran all the time. We created games out of our minds. The Atari was Alico. Guys didn't want us just sitting around in the house doing nothing. And you got to think about the community vibe was you go to school, do your homework. Me, I had to do my homework first. Library. My mom was strict about that. And go outside. But when you go outside, I lived on the 13th floor. You would knock on doors. Hey, man. So we were all in room together. We grew up as a community. That was what we were. And then for me, my sister's a year older than me. So I was in the middle because my sister was a year older than me, but I hung out around a lot of her friends. Then I had a group that was a year younger than me. And so I had friends on both sides, older, because I was just like that guy that was right there in the middle. I mean, I have a bunch of friends that's turning 50 next year with me too, but I'm just talking about in my building. And so I was like, all right, I want to get back into shape again. And I went running and I joined the run club. And boom, went out there, did the intermediate to beginners. And I'm like, this is not challenging. Like, I want to run it. So I took the advanced class. And in this advanced class, it was on Union Turnpike. It started from Union Turnpike. And we ran a field to my old college, which is Queensboro College. And it was up a hill, down a hill. I didn't even know that trail was there. Ran to the Horace Harding Highway, go back around, go back through the trail, ups and downs, peaks and valleys. So it was a 5-mile run. 5 miles should have took 30 minutes to 40 minutes. Let's just say when I got back, because you leave your car keys there, the store owner, they looking like this, somebody abducted me. Because I didn't have no phone. And the thing about running is I ran out. So me running out, it didn't take me as long out running, but me walking back took forever. On top of it, my back was stiff and I couldn't move. And it looked like I had a car accident. And I remember going to yoga for the first time. I was riding by a Pequot karate class. Master Eli. And it was in Valley Stream, New York. And on the sign, it says, he teach yoga. I went in, and he said, what's wrong with you? Did you have a car accident or something? I said, no. Now, he runs 5 miles a day. I said, no, I was running and my back went up. And that was my first introduction to yoga. Fast forward now, I'm the president of Urban Yogis. been teaching yoga for roughly since Hurricane Sandy, a little bit after Hurricane Sandy. So it's been a while. Meditation, and I work with some of the leaders in the industry. But I just thought that funny story of how you get on the path, and it's not through. I learned energy work. We did yoga together, but I did energy waves 1, energy waves 2. So it's like a rule about energy and energy work, energy protection, energy massages, which some would call Reiki, but in the Pakwa, it's just the energy waves. Energy waves 1, energy waves 2. So I did, which energy waves 2 is the more advanced class, where, and then I'll bring in, I guess, where most people say, oh, the chakra, right? We got the chakra, but they point from the crown to the bottom floor. In energy waves, it expands through all of the open points, all of the folding joints. So the aligning from the top, the crown down, we look at full total alignment, which includes about 24 to 24 entry points in the body. And sometimes my classical yoga instructor, like, oh man, I don't know what you're talking about here. Like, no, you don't understand that. That line from here to here, it spans out from all over, and the energy, or the chi, or the chakras are expansive. They're not just what you, but anyway, that's a whole nother debate for yoga nerds. However, you have a,
Awesome. You fellow yoga nerds. Yeah, there's hundreds of chakras. I mean, we talk about
yes,
7, I think, because that's all we can get our brain around. It's like, listen, I can only deal with 7 right now.
yeah, yes. And then 7 is like the perfect number. Even I think it's like 24. So it was like 7 times 7. So but it's just so unique how the body's formulated. And the more that we understand the body, the more we can help people get over their limiting beliefs, or they get through
Right.
hard times. And
Well,
that's
there's
what you
even
do.
a
Can you
0
explain?
one, right? There's a 0 one and there's a 8 one down below in the ground, right? It's like, they don't
Yes.
even have to be in the body. They're just like, sorry, what were
Yeah.
you going to
And
ask me?
it's like the body, what most people like, I do these breathing techniques. And I work now a lot with seniors. So I don't do this with my seniors,
Right.
where we hold our breath and just feel the body breathe, because the pores in our body is actually breathing on their own. And the reason why we get pimples, or our pores closed, is because we don't allow the body to breathe. But again, yeah, can you tell our audience about yourself and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. I guess I'm a yoga nerd, but originally, yeah, I was a CPA for 15 years. So that was, it's kind of a weird flip over, right? I took a right turn at one point and said, this is not my right path. So now I'm a coach, call myself a real life coach, because whatever we come up with, whatever it is that you need help with, it has to fit your real life, or you're not going to do it, right? It's like asking someone to go to an, you know, high level Ashtanga class and they're never going to come back again. You're like, you got to start where you are. So I do coaching, but I've had this background where I've been teaching yoga now 20 years. I started with Ashtanga, and because everybody does, and meditation, and I was a massage therapist for 14 years. So I've got all this like body wellness knowledge. But in all that, I realized that it's when people would come for massage, they'd come for like an hour of asking me questions about their life. I said, so one day when somebody said to me, you should just talk to people and help them. I'm like, that's a good idea. So I moved it. I had actually, small short story. I had a stroke in 2021. And that was kind of like my wake up call. I was in the emergency room for 3 days because they didn't have any beds, COVID, all this stuff. And no one could visit me and I couldn't see properly. So it was my silent retreat. I got the gift of a 3-day silent retreat. And while I was laying there, I realized, okay, it's time to retire from massage. It's time to move beyond just helping people with physical wellness. I was also doing some business coaching because I had that CPA background. I said, got to move outside that. So got the download of, my program is holistic, helping people look at their whole lives. And my podcast came that week, those 3 days as well. It's called Back to Me. It's like, I got to teach people how to make sure that if something like this happens to them, they're okay. Like I was okay. I was like, okay, I'm in the hospital. So instead of being upset about having a stroke, I said, okay, universe, why am I here? Like, what are you trying to tell me? So I waited for the lessons to come. And then I said, okay, I got it. I'm on my road now. Okay. Thanks for the wake up call. Here I go. So this is long story short story long is, I help people figure out what they're really meant to be doing. And it doesn't have to be something hustle. It doesn't have to be income. It could just be something your heart needs to express and figure out how to help them get there.
It's amazing that this is what you do, but it was a turbulent time in your life that brings you to the place, this is trials produces patience, right?
Yeah.
And you could have took that time in that bed. I could have took the time with my back and just lay down. But it was like, no, it's something I can't stop going, right? I have to keep going. You had a time of introspective. And where some people, I don't want to categorize, some people where they said, oh my God, why am I here? I'm COVID.
This
What
is
kept you
not
from,
fair.
what kept you, do you think that your many years of being a practitioner, exchanging energy, now is the time that you need to apply? Do you think that that is what kept you from falling apart and actually discovering what it was
Right.
that you are doing now?
It's so interesting. Yeah. Because I think because I had been a meditator for so long, I think part of my thing was, okay, no problem. We got this. Silent retreat, no problem. We're just going to meditate. And there was a part of my brain going, oh my God, are you kidding me? You had a stroke. Do you know what that means? And, the cascade of doom and gloom that comes. And that voice was there because I think it's normal. But a bigger voice said, are you kidding me? Stop being so foolish. You're in the hospital. This is the best place to be if there's something wrong. So take advantage of it and chill out and just see what happens. And it's funny because I was so calm and relaxed. It was Halloween weekend. So the emergency room was crazy. Like the people in there, oh my goodness, there was some crazy stuff going on in the emergency room. But I was in my little cubicle, just wearing a mask, watching it all go down. I was like, wow. It was also a great place to observe how people deal with that kind of crisis. Some people, you could tell they were scared, they were in denial, they just wanted to go home. I don't care. I'm fine. Just let me go home. Some people were having breakdowns. Some people were under arrest. Like there was a lot of really, there was a lot of really interesting things going on. So I could have gone down that road. And I think it's meditation and being okay, like having enough knowledge of, I've like did a scan of myself, like, okay, I think I'm okay. I feel okay. I'm in the right spot. Because at first I was fighting against the doctors. And then part of me went, why are you arguing with the doctors? Just let them take care of you, that pushing away. So once I did that and just went, it's like, okay, it's when you're just let what's happening be there, good or bad, whatever you want to label it. It's just a label. You can actually let yourself be open to whatever is supposed to be there for you. Because I don't think anything happens to you. It's all happening
Mm.
for you, right?
Well,
So
yeah.
even like December last year, I was in Jordan and I fell and broke my wrist.
Wow.
So classic. It's like I tripped over the only rock in the middle of the desert. And I just, it was so comical. I was just like, I went up to the guide. I'm like, I think I hurt myself. And so it took three cars and three hospitals and all these x-rays because they just kept, she was shushing us along. And people were like, oh my God, did it hurt? I was like, I don't actually remember. I just thought it was hilarious because I
Yeah,
was watching all this
that
happen and it
that
probably
you would
hurt.
want to find a rock in the middle of a desert.
Yeah, it probably hurt, but I just thought it was so interesting, like watching this comedy show of having to go from this car to this car to this car and this hospital and over to that hospital. And yeah, it's broken, but we don't fix that here. You have to go over there. And also the people were so fascinating because what is a white woman doing in a hospital in Jordan, right? So they're all like, oh, and they would come up and pat me and give me a blessing or something. I don't know what they were saying, but it was so fun. Like I had such a good time, even though I had a broken wrist. Whatever. Painkillers, you're good.
So you had 3 careers,
Ah,
and and
so far.
and most, yeah, yes, and most people, like, if they're lucky, they get to do 2 careers, right, and be successful at them. What do you think, as a woman entrepreneur, what do you think is your secret to not being afraid to start over and then to build, and then not being afraid to start over and then to
Yeah.
build again? Is
Yeah.
the secret in not being afraid to start, or is the secret in building?
I think the secret is not being afraid to start because you can give yourself, oh my goodness, a million reasons not to do something. I was
Mm,
actually talking to somebody last night who she's at this cusp where she needs to go all in or go get a job at Dunkin' Donuts. And she's having all the feels. Like I saw every feel in that conversation yesterday, crying, laughing, screaming. It's like when you have to think about it, when you have that, I need to make a decision energy, it's like tense and feels, it doesn't feel good a lot of the times. But once you make it, boom, you're on the road and you just go. So it only takes that 10 seconds of courage to say, yeah, I'm good. I got it. And trust for me, it's a lot of trust as well. So it is hard. I understand for people to take that first step, to take that, I'm going to do this. I mean, people can have as many careers as they want. I'll probably reinvent myself again at some point down the road. I don't know. I just keep adding more stuff on. I follow where my heart calls me. So, or if that's too heavy, just follow your curiosity, right? So that's really interesting because I'm also a kayaking instructor. That's really interesting. I want to try that. That's really interesting. I want to try that. That's really interesting. And that doesn't mean you have to make a career of all of them, but go and be curious and try things out. And if you feel called to go do that, be brave enough to give yourself the grace to do that and trust that if you have the curiosity and the desire to do something, that there's a reason for that. So there's probably something behind that and you should follow it, right? That doesn't mean you
as a
need to become
former
a Navy, but
yeah, but as a former CPA, right?
yeah,
Do you still, how important was that part of your life, even for what you're doing now? Because, to build a business, you have to, you still have to have some level of where a lot of businesses fail is they're good at doing yoga, but they're not good at
that is
running
funny.
a
It's
studio.
funny you say that because when I started coaching the yoga teachers and the massage therapists on business because that's, I was working as a massage therapist and the people that I worked with found out what I used to do. So they would come to me with all these letters from the government. Will you help me? Will you help me? It's like, yeah, I'll help you. Of course I'll help you. So, but it's interesting. People sometimes ask me like, do you regret spending all those years? I'm like, hell no. Because one, I made a lot of money back then, right? So that has given me the ability to downsize myself and be okay. Like some people, it's like, oh my God, what if I lose my house? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'll be okay. So, and it set up that knowledge of business. Like, I'm not perfect by any means. Like, I'm still learning. I've taken tons of, like, I didn't know marketing. I had to take marketing when I started being an entrepreneur, but I knew how to manage the back end. And I was coaching the health and wellness people, like, yes, you got to send an invoice. You can't just visualize and money pours in. You got to actually take an action.
No manifestation.
No, manifestation requires action. Ask Abraham. Right?
It's how to walk.
So it totally set me up to be able to, like, see where things are going wrong, where, and and also not to be afraid of money. Like, a lot of people in that wellness space think money is bad. Oh, I shouldn't bill people. Oh, it's bad. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Like, it's not bad. It's a tool. The more you have, the better you can do things to do the things you want to do. Just because you're rich doesn't make you an asshole. There's lots of poor assholes too, right?
Yeah. It's assholes walking on every corner.
Exactly.
Some driving $100,000 cars. So when you started to feel the shift, how long did it take you to pivot, or was it something? Are you a procrastinator? Are you a excuse my French, balls to the walls? Like, really, I'm going for it, or
Well,
are you
it's
a planner?
funny. Like, it's totally funny. I have this fantasy of being a really good planner, but what'll happen is I'll get an idea. And actually started doing yoga because one of the vice presidents where I work said, "Hey, do you want to do some yoga?" And I was super stressed out. I was like, "I hear it's good for stress. I'll go do it." But I went like 100% in. I'm like, I'm doing it every day, which was also bad, bad, bad. So it was like, it was starting to percolate, right? It was starting to percolate. And when I decided to do it, like, I didn't plan it. I just waited until it felt like the water was hot enough and for the coffee. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Off. And I went. And I didn't have plans when I left my corporate job. I actually went traveling. I went traveling for 3 months to India because I said, I think I'll go to India. So off I went. And when I came back, because was totally blessed, like, that I could go and take off for 3 months and not worry about anything. When I came back, I said, okay, I'm going to go to massage school, became a personal trainer, and I'm going to open my own yoga studio. Boom, done. Did I have that all planned out in advance? No, but I had an idea of the direction I wanted to go, and then I let kind of the universe deliver. Because when I decided to go back for massage school, my boyfriend's father called and said, "Hey, I've got a place for you guys to live." And I looked at the address, and it was right down the street from where my massage school was. And it had a studio that I could teach yoga in. I was like, are you kidding me? Of course we're going to take it. Like, it was gorgeous. It was crazy. It's like, and when I came back, it was just like, here you go, here you go, here you go. Because I had stuck my stick in the sand and said, this is the direction I'm going. So, yeah.
So I'm about to ask you nerdy. So who did you practice with when you was in India?
I practiced with this guy, Shivajas. I practiced with this really old school. I didn't practice with any of the big name dudes. I practiced with all these local old school guys who their classes were like 3 hours long. And
I know.
you're like, I think I'm going to die. And they're like, that's your karma.
Yeah.
No, really, I'm just, I'm not used to this.
And then they walk behind you and then they mash you down. You like, this the farthest I can go. Like, no, you can go farther.
Yeah, right. Well, even here, I took a class with David Life once, and I was in the shoulder stand, and I didn't know it at the time, but I had herniated a disc in my back because accountant, you sit all the time. And I was in the shoulder stand going, oh, I'm in pain. He comes and he pulls my feet and he kicks my elbows. I'm like, don't touch me. It's your karma.
It's just not, no, this is herniated disc.
Exactly. I think I'm going to go lie down now.
So, from like we're laughing at these experiences. However, because you've been in those rooms and you're listening to us, you understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they come pulling you down. You're like, oh, my stomach hurt. Oh, it does.
Well, and what's funny was I went after his David Life's class, I went to one of the Kripalu classes and no, Sean Korn. And she was like, I don't want to bash Sean Korn. I think she was having a bad day, but she was doing chakra opening and making us feel bad. So I was weeping at the end of class and I went to a Kripalu class and I've got this disc in my back and I feel like my chakras have been raped. This guy comes up to me, he goes, it's okay. I'm just like, let's just do a little restorative yoga. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do that.
So that's great. These are the two pushbacks, two of the things that I hear when I talk about some of my friends, they lift weights, and I lift weights.
So
I do more resistance stuff. And so one of the things, I just need a real exercise. Like, you think that you can do it? Let me go lift some weights with you. You come on the mat with me for an hour and a half, and let's see.
exactly.
Oh, so when you hear that, it's not, and we're just talking about from the practical. I understand that there's a whole internal work that happens with yoga, but from a practical standpoint, when we start to see the body shaping, and most people don't like to take the time. Yoga works fast; it gets you strong fast, but it works from the inside out. So you may still have a roundness in the belly or wide shoulders, and you're not seeing the definition immediately. But if you stay on the mat, how does that transformation begins to evolve?
I think that I used to, I've closed my yoga studio, but when I had my yoga studio, people came because they wanted the yoga butt, right? I want a yoga butt. I want a yoga butt. And I think that with anything that you do, there has to be consistency. Like you can't go once a week to lift weights and think you're going to get big pythons, right? You can't go to yoga once a week and think you're going to reach this state of, yoga butt enlightenment. But what I found was the people who, sure, yeah, the yoga butt can be enlightening, right? Why not?
Yeah,
But I think what people find when they start doing it, because same thing, I had a personal trainer who was training me for a while, who was a Toronto Argonaut, the football player. And he thought, oh, yoga is so lame. I said, okay, I'm just going to take you through one sun salutation. Because it's not about how many reps you can do. It's not about how big a weight you can curl. It's your staying relaxed and calm in your inner being, breath control, and precision of movement, right? So being able to understand that this alignment is a place of strength. This alignment and this breath is a way to strengthen me. So I think what yoga does to help people be stronger and healthier is a greater understanding of how their body works and how the things that they do. So people come up to me I'm actually 58. So people will come up to me and say, wow, your posture is so good. I'm like, but it's from consistency and consistency and consistency that I'm not aware of my posture. But when I see other people who are I bet you they're an accountant by the way they sit, because they're not aware of what's going on. Everything is in the head. Everything's cerebral. We forget that we've got a body until it starts to hurt us. So yoga helps you, it's union, right? Uniting the mind and the body, among other things, but helping you recognize this vehicle that's carrying you around can be really strong and doesn't have to look like the cover of Muscle and Fitness, right? So
yes. That's an amazing point. And earlier we was talking about manifestation and how people those catchphrases, manifestation, gratitude, all those things like really turns my stomach sometimes. However,
I
I
know.
understand it. I understand it. I understand for industry, I get it. But earlier in the year, I was saying that one of our goals for our podcast is to get our first sponsor. And we, before the year is over, I didn't know where it was going to come, how it was going to come. It was like, before the year is over, we're going to have a sponsor. And when you know it, Cozy Earth is one of our first sponsors of the Walk of Victory podcast. If you go and work out and do anything and you need a nice place to rest your head afterwards, Cozy Earth is a luxurious sets, sheets, high-end sheets, but you get a 40% discount by using the code Victory1. They don't just sell sheets and bedding. They sell luxurious pajamas and actual clothes, pants, hoodies, t-shirts. Go to Cozy Earth. The link is in the description and use the code word Victory1 and enjoy yourself on some nice sheets. The holidays are coming. Well, by the time you listen to this, the holidays are over. The New Year's here. Why not? Why not uh, treat yourself to some great linen? How important was it for you in this last shift to rest up, to get the mind ready for your new you would embrace and feel, and in how in telling everyone else that I'm shifting again. You'll be fine. No, if you don't go. How was that conversation?
It was interesting. First of all, congratulations. Way to go. Woo woo. Got a sponsor. Yahoo.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
maybe I'll declare that at my January 1st episode. I'm going to get a sponsor this year. So my massage clients, some of them were in tears. And because when you're a massage therapist, for some people, you're also their emotional support, right? Stuff they're going through. And so that was hard. Like you don't want people to feel lost. So I did a lot of work to make sure that I could find them someone who would match them to help them continue on their journey. Like someone who I wasn't going to say, oh, here's a list of massage therapists. I actually went out and because I know a bunch, I'm like, I think you should see this person. I think you should see that person. So I did all of that work. And I was already coaching on the side, but that stroke was it's just time to maybe focus on one thing, Heather, maybe just two things. I don't know. But I had to rest because brains are so interesting. Like I felt fine physically, but I could work for about 20 minutes. Then I had to sleep. Like I could not continue. Had to lie down and sleep. I couldn't see couldn't see properly. Still, I was still a bit off. If I wore my glasses, they made me nauseous. So I actually had to project my computer onto my TV and sit 6 feet away from it to answer emails, and then I'd have to go sleep. So it was like my body knew what I needed, so it made sure that I did it, and I had no options. So it took me about a year before, because I do lift weights like 2-3 days a week. It took me a year before I was really felt like one day I went, oh, I'm back. Like I'm back to my old level. I wasn't, you know, doing nothing during that year. I was doing the things I could do that were focused and would move me forward, and then resting, and then resting, and then resting. And, nutrition matters. Now, we were talking earlier, I still love potato chips and chocolate, but I'll also have my kale and whatever smoothie and, and, you know, all the things that are going to feed my body to make it healthy. And part of that
How
is also
important?
knowing what your body needs.
Yeah, how important was that season in your life for what you're doing now? Like hearing the details, being able to only do work for 20 and lie down and so if I come to you and you're coaching me and I'm giving you all these excuses. Like, man, you know what, Alabama, I know that's not your approach, but
Well, sometimes
you
sometimes
got
people
ran.
get a sometimes people get a little tough love. Like I won't tough love people right from the get go. First, I got to feel them out to see if they can handle the tough love. When I point out to them that they're lacking integrity, and because people will go, "I've got tons of integrity." I was like, "You can keep your promise to everybody but yourself. That's a lack of integrity." So
Mm.
being responsible enough to keep your promises to yourself. So I am not always perfect. Oh my gosh. I'm not perfect, but helping people recognize their excuse is bullshit and they're trying to hide from something. Can I swear on here?
No, you're fine. I'm sorry.
And they're trying to
You're
hide from
fine.
something. And if they're not ready to see it, what it is they're hiding from, like sometimes, well, let's go over here, like something that'll take them maybe around the back door, the side door, if they're really having problems bumping up against something, because you bump up against a lot when you're like, I could tell tons of stories about all the crap that I've done, but you bump up against a lot of stuff. You're like, okay, here comes another lesson down the pipe. Yeah, it's like finding if you can't go straight into it and you keep hitting that wall and you can't help them climb over it, you got to help them find a way around, maybe find a back door, right?
It's funny that you say that, like we bump into stuff. And after a while, it becomes almost like, all right, it's cloudy outside. It's about to rain. Because you start to, our life ebbs and flows in patterns. So for me, every time I was doing something in business, anytime I had a bunch of resistance or things happen, I'm like, oh wow, breakthrough's about to happen. Because that's just the way that my weather, my GPS, my life pattern evolve.
But
Like
some people think
things
that's the
start
universe telling them not to do it. It's like, well, no, not
nah.
true.
It's saying, all right, when you weather this, on the other side, the rainbow's coming. And that's,
Exactly.
but we don't want, people want the rainbow. They don't want to go through the storm.
They don't want the rain. They just want the rainbow. They want the easy way. When I was a massage therapist, one lady said to me one day, she was she was concrete. Her shoulders, her traps were like, get me a hammer and chisel. And I was asked, she was telling me about her job. She worked in some kind of corporate office. She said, well, can you just give me a pill for this? I thought, there is what's wrong. We want
Society.
the easy way. And it's not like it's that hard, but you got to be able to put in a little bit of effort. If you want muscles, you got to go put in a little bit of effort. Don't just take Ozempic or whatever the latest crap is that they're telling you to take. I mean, do the thing, eat the good food, do the work, sit on your mat, like all of the things that we know we want to do, but we don't want to do it. I actually had a dream last night. I was trying to find my piece of paper where I wrote it down, where I was writing an article, which apparently I'm going to write because it's in my dream, called Welcome to Your Belief Story. So everything you do in your life is based on a belief that you installed at some point. Your software got installed. You didn't arrive here, hustle, unhappy. Like you arrived on the planet. Yeehaw, let's play, let's eat, let's poo, let's have fun, right? So at some point you installed these weird beliefs that came from somewhere. Like we could talk past life, but let's just stick to this life where you went out in the rain and you're like, oh, that was crappy. I'm unhappy. I'm wet. So you don't ever want to go out in the rain again. Or that was too hard and I was too tired. And instead of like, that was interesting. Afterwards, I felt better. So that work was actually worth it because I feel better in the end. So these beliefs that are in your head are running you and you don't even realize it. So when you've got that kind of decision, like you're wired to say, yeah, breakthrough, let's go. Some people are wired for, it's too hard. I'm just going to go over here and live the life that I wasn't meant to, but it's easier. And the people who watch The Secret, I think they think that it's supposed to just land in your lap. But It's not. There has to be action and there has to be effort on your part. They'll deliver if you put in the work, right?
See, everybody, I told you we set you out the feet of the masters. This is Walking Victory, where we build, craft you from the inside. Oh, we're not looking to superficially build the machine. We're like the people that build the $6 million man. And if you're young, you don't know what I'm talking about. When I say the $6 million,
I'm there, man. I gotcha.
uh, my last question for you: what books have impacted you or influenced you? Could be fiction, nonfiction. Doesn't have to be something that you recently read. And we were sitting down with some young lady, you say, "You know what? Read this book. I think it'll help."
Two that I really love and actually have read more than once. Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Mm,
So, did you read it?
yes.
Oh, so good. Her
Yeah.
audiobook, by the way, got such a great voice. I've listened to it over and over. I didn't read Eat, Pray, Love because I'm not interested in that because I already did my own Eat, Pray, Love. But Big Magic is awesome. And Jen Sincero, You're a Badass is
And
really
that
good.
you are.
Yes, yes.
And
And when she reads her audiobook, she's really good too.
you have such a great speaking voice. You come across, I can't really see you telling someone, you're full of shit.
No. Now, I'm the oldest of 4 kids. So if you
Oh,
ask my
I'm
sister,
sorry.
yeah,
You had to have that conversation a lot of times.
yeah, pretty much. My sister and brothers will tell you I can do it.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Listen, you don't have to um, send cash apps or Venmos or anything. We lead with value. We have conversations that you can apply to your life. These are conversations that we want you to walk away from listening to us and get some actionable steps. You don't have to allow a stroke or a hospital stay to bring you down. In fact, you can use that time and say, hey, I'm having a mini retreat. When I leave, I'm going to quit my old business and start a new one. Why? Because I walk in victory. Don't walk with your head down. Don't walk making excuses. Your likes, your subscriptions are valuable to us. If you've made it this far, you might as well hit that subscribe button. You notice I don't ask you all throughout, come on, subscribe. I'm not begging for subscribers. I have a goal in mind of set numbers per episode that we will reach, and we will reach that goal this year, maybe even surpass it. But we do need you to give us a 5-star review if you're listening on a place that you can leave a review. And not only that, you can go to our website. On our website is going to be a landing page with this episode. Miss Heather is going to have her own page. And in that page is all of her social handles, all of her emails, her email address, and her website. You need that clarity call. You need a coach that has a smooth voice, that has been through the fire and came up not once, not twice, but 3 times. And hey, you never know. It may be a fourth in this scene. So enjoy the rest of your day. Don't walk with your head down, walk with your head up, but most of all, walk in victory. Peace.